Gaming 16, and today I'm doing a parent's guide for games to get your kid, teenager, mutated thing that you own for Christmas and or their birthday if it's nearby, but mainly for Christmas. We're going to be covering mainly shooter games, but I got a racing game, a few boxing games, and some other stuff in store if they're younger. But to start it off, we're going to do a racing game. Forza 6 for the Xbox One, but really any Forza game will do. This is what I think is one of the newer ones. It's rated E, and it really doesn't have anything bad in it. All it is cars on racetracks. You can select a bunch of different cars. I always enjoy it when I play it, and in this one it includes the 10 anniversary car pack. But they might not all have that. So definitely a good game if they're into race cars, racing, anything. Next up we have Call of Duty Black Ops 3. Hopefully you're familiar with the Call of Duty franchise. If not, it's just a first-person shooter game. So it looks like you're actually holding the gun and then you run around and shoot people. This is a futuristic game, so he has like an exosuit on. None of the guns are actually real guns as of today, but it's pretty fun. You can do all sorts of cool stuff with it, and I'd recommend it for probably older kids. It's got some gore in it, which is probably the worst thing, and some language, but the gore is pretty disturbing. Next up is Battlefield Hardline. This is a cops versus robbers first-person shooter. Battlefield is another company that makes first-person shooters. There's the rating. And the use of drugs and all that kind of stuff is mainly in the campaign. But if you get Battlefield, make sure they have online, Xbox Live or PlayStation Live or whatever it's called, because that's the main reason to get Battlefield is their online play. There is constant language throughout the multiplayer in the campaign though, so be aware of that. Next you have Battlefield 4, same company, but it's a year before that game was made. Still very good graphics. Here's the rating. It focuses. Ever. Oh, okay, I'll just read it to you. It's rated M for blood and gore, intense violence, and strong language. Again, make sure they have live and it's age appropriate for them. Again, if they're kind of like on the, sensitive side, you could say, I wouldn't get this from because there's a lot of people that die, things that blow up, and language. So if you don't approve of any of those things, I wouldn't recommend getting this for them. Next up, we have Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. It is also rated M. And it's rated M for blood, drug reference, strong language, and violence. So basically the same thing. This game is hard. So if you have a younger kid that's getting this, make sure they can deal with struggle or else they are going to hate it. It took me probably a good month before I could actually do good in it. But it's definitely fun once you learn how to. It's definitely harder than all the other shooters, but it's really fun and rewarding once you learn how to. Next up is one of the newest CODs, Call of Duty, as it stands for. It's Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, and it's the Legacy Edition, so it comes with Modern Warfare. So this edition is $80, but the standard that just comes with one game is $60. And it's rated M for blood and gore, drug reference, intense violence, strong language, and suggestive themes. So it's definitely a little more, it's worse than the past few games have been, but it's still basically the same core idea as all the other games except for Forza that I've covered. There's people, usually online. Again, make sure they have online if you get one of these, unless they just single player, but online's definitely a big part of them. There's the basic idea is there's people, they shoot at you, you try and not die, and you shoot them and try and kill them. That's the basic idea. Here's one that's a little more appropriate for younger kids. It's rated T for teen. It's Star Wars Battlefront. So it's just like all these other games. It's first and third person shooter, so you can see, like, pretend like you're them, or you can see over the shoulder like a movie, but it's rated T for violence, and it's Star Wars. You play as a stormtrooper or a rebel. That's how it basically goes. I have the deluxe edition that comes with some extra stuff, and you can probably find this for $30 at Walmart or Target or whatever. Next up, you have Assassin's Creed Syndicate. This is the newest one, and you are in, I believe, like, you are in London, 1868, up here, and you're just fighting bad guys. You're a good guy that fights in the dark to save the light, as it says in the movie trailer. There's the rating for you, and it's a little, I'd say, worse than the other games, just because you're using blunt and bladed weapons instead of guns, so it's a little more up close and personal, but it's definitely a fun game, and if you're a fan of the Assassin's Creed series, I would definitely get it for them. You don't necessarily need live for this. I don't think there's no live on this. It's single player only. So if they're into live play, they probably wouldn't like that. It's mainly single player, but it's a free roam game. So even if they're into free roams, they might like that. Another game is Halo 5. Halo 5 I wouldn't recommend it as high as all the other games, like Battlefield 4, Call of Duty, but it's definitely a fun game. And if they're a fan of the Halo series, and they don't have a high temper, I'd get it. It's really frustrating at times, because it takes so long to kill people. Sounds bad, but it's also rated T for teen, because you don't really see blood, you don't really see gore. It says blood on there, but when I play, I don't see any blood. It says mild language, violence, and blood. And so, yeah. Halo 5 is one of the other games I recommend. So I'm going to go ahead and get some last gen games for... Okay, we are over here now, and I only have one to recommend out of all of these. Actually, a few. I have Sniper Elite version 2, or V2, Silver Star Edition. That's really fun. I'd really recommend it. It's for anyone who's into, like, World War II or snipers in general. It shows you, like, cool kill cams where it's all slow-mo and X-ray vision, so you see what it does to the inside, and it's really eye-opening. And then for kids, I think this is rated E10. Here, I'll get these off. It's rated E10. It's Lego Marvel Superheroes. It's rated for fantasy cartoon violence. But yeah, it's Lego Superheroes. It's pretty self-explanatory.